All right, welcome to Rapid Fire Manufacturing. Today I am with James Tank Williams. He's also known as a mechanic in a necktie. He has a legacy in aerospace and defense. Tank has led executive teams at NMG Aerospace, Chemring Countermeasures USA, and Meggitt Aircraft Braking. He is a U.S. Air Force veteran, and he's a hands-on leader. Tank rose from assembler to senior executive, driving strategic growth, process innovation, and global operations. His leadership spans from projects with NASA's solid rocket boosters to pioneering aircraft braking systems. Tank, thank you so much for taking the time to join today.
It's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thanks, David.
Absolutely. Let's jump into it. So, you've worked on some of these high stake projects. What's your go-to approach for keeping quality and efficiency on point in such a fast-paced, high demand environment?
Well, I have to start off by saying, I started out in the Air Force. The first words out of our mouth is safety, quality, and then efficiency. And, that's the process, that's the drive, and you use all of those things together. And what I've found, if you drive safety and quality, the efficiency will come. I'm working with people. I always go into a new operation and I talk to them about kind of the we, us, and our thing, meaning that if the business is good, then we're going to continue to drive it and look for opportunities. If the business is bad, then we are going to look at it from the standpoint of what can we do to fix it. I use the word us because I want to emphasize the importance of unification, and then it's our because people like to start pointing fingers at one person or the other. And in my leadership style, there's no finger pointing. You all work together, but the thing that's important is that you get the leadership team, you get the people, all the people, because I believe the key to success is people. And that doesn't matter if it's the janitor, everybody has to have an awareness of where the inefficiencies are and why they're there. But you never, even though I'm not going to keep emphasizing the word safety and quality is number one. So, I go in, I look at the leadership team, I go down, I look at the people in the shop, I look at their eyes, I listen to the heartbeat, because for me, you always drive the business from understanding the people that's doing the execution. How do they feel? The other thing is the leadership team. How the leaders, if I go on the floor and I take a walk, I have the operations guy and the quality guy, the two leaders, okay? And the reason I do that, I want to see if they've ever walked the floor together. Okay. I want to understand what they know. I want to understand how they talk. I want to understand how they appreciate it. And then if they don't, then we have conversations about what my expectations of them. And we continue to do that. It's a repeated process of talking to people, sharing your approach of accountability and responsibility, and you drive that throughout the business. But you never stop driving it. You continue to let people know. I had a situation down at Kilgore Flares. Took the operation over, went in, had all the people in the business. It was close to 500 people on the first shift, about 400 plus people. We had put up the charts. We talked about the fact that we were at 2% margins. We talked about the fact that our scrap costs were high. We talked about the fact that we were behind in schedule and our cost was up. After the meeting, I get about 3 young women who work. This is explosive, this is countermeasures. So these people are working a very high business where explosions can occur. So I had 3 women walk up to me and they asked me and they said, "Hey, we talk to you?" And I'm like, "Certainly." And they said, "When are we going to get a raise? We haven't had a raise in 2 years." I'm like, "Okay, did you see that chart I put up there that says we got $6 million in scrap?" They said, "Yep." I said, "Well, your raise is in there, okay? We drop that number below 3 million, you'll get a raise." And they look at me, but that was just one moment, but I had to keep emphasizing that. I had to keep talking to them about quality. I had to keep talking to them about efficiency and had to drive that. And then, in this case, we had a bunch of 20 plus year operations, equipment and everything. We had to go in and had to fight with corporate about the change. So, for me, I love the opportunity of being a mechanic in a necktie because I can feel what they are doing and I can represent them better. But at the same time, I'm holding their foot to the fire about what we need to do together and how we need to get it done. And the leadership team has to buy into that. And the one thing I look at is I always look at the first tier and the second tier of leadership. And the first reason I do that is that sometimes the first tier of leadership, not all, but one or two, may be retired in place. And after we've had a few conversations, again, going with my mechanic gut, if I feel that they're retired in place and they're not willing to help make the change, from a safety, quality, and efficiency opportunity, then I relieve them of duty and I take the next guy in place. Why? Because you train that way in the military. You have to be able to execute. You have to be able to drive. But people enjoy that. Sometimes you take the number two person, you grab them and they're just ready to go. They just been sitting there pigeonhole ready to go. But that's really my style of managing. And it's always been about accountability. I use the word block and tackle. And I tell the people, my job as the leader is to block and tackle. And they're like, well, what does that mean? I say, I open holes. If there's a constraint, if there's a problem, my job is to block and tackle. I'm not the smartest one on execution of this particular business. And the reality is because I still am a mechanic, I do have mechanical instincts, high gifted instincts that I pick up efficiency things very, very well, but I still take them back to the employee. It's not about me going out and leading and charging about I did this. I hate the I word. So, my job is to get people to feel good about them being in charge, them owning the business, them the ones that's making the efficiency. And you never stop doing that, so that's kind of how I do it, Dave.
That's awesome. And first off, thank you for serving our country. I truly appreciate that. So it sounds like a lot of your leadership style was kind of formulated when you were in service, right? So it's not it's we. You build up the team. If one person falls, we all fall. So we have to work together. Is that sort of your mentality when you started working in civilian opportunities or jobs?
You don't have a choice in the military. I mean, in the
Hmm.
military, depending on the job you're working on, especially sometimes with hydraulics and you got to remove a landing gear to do a particular job, you can't do that by yourself. So you have to have a trusted person that's working with you. So the teaming is something that you learn. And what we had in the Air Force is that if we stopped in front of a job, even if it was a one person job, sometimes two of us got off the job. One person did the paperwork, the other person worked on the job, then we checked each other's work. And you always had quality inspectors roaming around, and you always had to have the tech document open to what job you were working on. But that discipline, yes, carried over and has carried over in every business I have. I go in the shop, I ask people about their job, I ask them about what they're doing, how they're doing it, because I want to understand what they know. I ask them about their frustrations. I ask them, how does manufacturing engineering communicate? To me, what starts the efficiency is the design. And, getting the people engaged. And, we had to teach that at aircraft braking systems. Engineering would make a wheel and brake design, they throw it over. They didn't think about machine capability. They just did a design. Once I got them to go and talk to the manufacturing guys and team up, and everybody started understanding, okay, you can do this on this machine. Yeah, if you design it that way, sounds like a miracle, right? But it's just those simple, basic things about people learning how to talk and trust each other, and knowing that it's unacceptable to work in silos.
Hmm.
There will be no silos in my operation. And that is probably the only time you hear me say the word mine, because I'm emphasizing the expectation of accountability, ownership, and teamwork.
That's awesome. That's such a great approach. And now, with all the processes and changes you've led, what's one piece of advice you'd give to manufacturers who want to shake things up and want to truly be competitive?
Well, I'm not a fan of the word shake. I'll tell you what I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of the word comfortable, not getting comfortable, staying uncomfortable, staying flexible with your manufacturing team, with your engineering design team of continuous improvement. So I like the word going in, looking at the business, seeing where we are, and then making sure that we never ever get comfortable. We had a process at Aircraft Braking System that we created called the Look Forward Team. And what we did with that process is that we used to go into meetings and we talk about all of the past quality issues. So we're sitting up there beating ourselves up about something that's already happened. And me and the quality and manufacturing guys sat down and we created a whole new philosophy called Look Forward. And we put that across the entire business, which meant that We were going to go out and we were going to attack the processes before they occurred. We were going to look for things that hasn't happened. Okay. Now that's the process of staying uncomfortable. Shake things up, especially in aerospace, especially dealing with explosives.
Yeah, not a good word to use.
Not a good word. Okay. The word that I love is stay uncomfortable, stay in the mindset of continuous improvement. Use that with your people. Allow your people to just be happy to be able to talk to you about things that frustrate them and go down there and just hang out. And a lot of times when I go in the shop, I don't talk about the job. I talk about the person. I talk about the family. It's amazing some of the things that you get. But once you get through that, then you say, hey, so what's bothering you with your piece of equipment or your process today? What do you think? Because guess what? Most of the talent starts with the guy that's doing the job, the individual doing the job, whether male or female. And sometimes we don't listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
We think that we know better. And sometimes the management team gets upset when I go down, going, oh my God. But see, the thing that I don't do is I don't come back upstairs like some leaders and just start pounding on the table. This is what I learned. This is what I'll sneak up. I'll sneak up to one individual who's running an area and say, hey, here's something I heard. You may want to look into it. And they're like, okay. Then I'll follow back up. I mean, because, memory's good. So I'll go back down and say, hey, so what happened? Did you? Oh, well, now if they answer, well, I hadn't gotten to that. Okay. Then we change the moment of do it now. Okay. Go talk to your employee. Somebody said something to me 2 weeks ago and I came by and mentioned you haven't checked on it. But again, it's the word uncomfortable and follow up. And rarely does that happen, but occasionally it does happen. And then we're changing attitudes. And, one of the things about changing people's attitude is you think about, behavior modification can take 3 to 5 years, but change doesn't take that long. You can change the mindset of people in under 6 months, but you have to continuously work at it and let them understand that you are holding them accountable. And my job is to block and tackle for them and make sure they got all the tools they need. They got all the things they need. Maybe I have to say sometime, okay, we don't have this today and we may not get it for another year and a half because capital is X. But what can we do with the current equipment to get as best we can to stay safe and do the right job and do a very quality job? Because those are the things that's going to get the efficiency up. And those are the things that's going to keep you driving. But you drive every single day. You drive the business on cost, you drive the business on profit, you drive the business on cash, you drive the business on customer service, you drive the business on relationships internally to the business, how people are working together. And you let people understand that those things are critical and important. And they should be important every day.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tank, for sharing that. I'm gonna have to re-listen to this a couple of times too, because there's so many powerful nuggets in here. So thank you so much for your time, Tank. For those of you watching, stay tuned for more episodes from industry leaders like Tank. Thanks again, Tank.
All right, David, take care.